So continuing on with our D1 file, we are going to create a specific type of effect on this text. It's called locking our transparent pixels. And so right now what we have is type. With our type layer that has your name on it, type right now is, like I had said before, is a special type of layer. It means that right now we could still edit this as text. If you double clicked on the type with your type tool, you could still change the font, you could change the size, you could change the color, all of those things as type. But what we want to do is actually rasterize this type, which means we're going to turn it into editable pixels instead of type. So what we do, once you have your name the way you like it, make sure you're clicked on that layer, and then we're going to go to Layer, Rasterize, just about halfway down, and then choose the type option. So again, up on your menu bar, we're going to choose Layer, Rasterize, and then Type. Now, when we click this, nothing is going to happen on our screen, but I'd like to draw your attention over to your layer panel to show you that right now, you no longer have that T where the thumbnail is. That T signifies that you have editable text. Right now what we have is we turn this into editable pixels. So what I'd like you to do is actually hide your background layer. So click on the little eye to the left of your background thumbnail. And what this is now showing is just the layer that has our name on it. And we haven't talked about this quite yet, but what you see here are lots of gray and white pixels. The gray and white pixels, what those signify is that that layer is transparent. So it could show through to the back. Obviously now we have our text, which is really not text anymore, it's really pixels. And so what we want to do is we want to edit these pixels as pixels. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn my background back on just to show you this. If we were to grab our brush tool right now, and I don't want you to follow me, I want you to just watch for a second. If I were to change my foreground color, I'm going to choose something bright like a green. And I have my brush, and what I would do is I'm just dragging across it right now. You can see that I'm drawing all over my picture. That doesn't look great. It looks pretty terrible. I'm going to undo that, and instead I'm going to make sure that my name layer is selected, and then under the lock section, the very first option shows a little square with black and white squares on it. What that means is we're going to lock our transparent pixels. So I'm going to click on that, and what that does is it actually locks all of those little gray and white cells on this layer, which means nothing can happen to those. So now watch what happens when we get out our brush and start drawing lines through our text. Pretty cool. So I'm going to undo that and let's practice that ourselves. So what we want to do first is click on our name. We want to lock our transparent pixels. So go to on your layer panel to where it says lock, and then click the little gray and white square. And then set your color, whatever you'd like your color to be. This time I'm just going to choose, I'll pick yellow. Okay. If you want to, if you don't like the size of your brush, feel free to change the size. I'm going to make mine just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to turn the hardness up to 100%, which is going to give me a really sharp edge instead of a feathered edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to do polka dots. So you could do whatever you want. If you want to drag lines through it, feel free. So I'm just clicking along here. And notice that if you tried to go out in here and click and draw, you can't because those transparent pixels are locked. If you were to unlock that, you could draw over this layer like nobody's business. So that is one way to add kind of a cool looking effect to different text. One thing I usually like to do after I do this, once I draw either my lines or my dots or whatever, I usually like to add a layer style to this. So what I want to do is actually add a stroke. So I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on my name layer. Oops, didn't need to zoom in there. Click on my name layer, and then I'm going to go down to my FX. Remember, that is our layer style. I'm going to go up and choose the stroke option. So stroke just means that we're going to put a nice solid line around whatever happens to be on that layer. For us, it's text. So you can change the size if you want it to be thicker. Obviously, that's too much. Or if you want it to be just nice and thin, I'm actually going to set mine at like 2. Maybe 1 is okay. 1 might be okay. And you can change the color of your stroke if you want to. I could set it to be like a yellow if I wanted to. But I don't know that that's going to look really great. I like the black, gives a little bit of a distinction between the background and our text. And so then just like last time, your little FX signifies that you have a layer style on there, and if you want to see the difference between those two, you can just turn it on and off, and I like that a little bit better. So that's just a way to create really kind of a cool effect with your text. All you need to do is first to get a type layer going, type whatever you need, and then once you're happy with the text, because if I wanted to, I should show you that actually. I forgot to do that. If I wanted to try to change, like, let's say I've got this and I think, oh, I don't really like the font of this, Mrs. Theologist. I'm going to try to change it. So I grab my type tool and I try to select. Notice that I can't. What it continues to do is it will just draw a new box, or if I try to double click, it actually makes a new type layer. Because this layer where we have our name is no longer editable as text. You can't change it as text. You could change the color still. If you wanted to, we could do that. But you can't change the font, the size, or the font style anymore. Those are set. So just some cool things to do with your text. We actually do not need this file anymore, so you can go ahead and close it, and no, you don't have to save, and we'll head over to our next video.